from NPC Studios in New York City, it's Late Night with Swarm Pants. Tonight, actor John Travolta, comedian Janine Garoppolo, and music from fellow listener. And now, here's Swarm.
That ain't true, that ain't true. Hello? Wait, maybe this. Yeah. There we go. All right, I'm not really doing Swarm Pants today. Am I? I don't think so. I got a lot on my mind right now, so I'm gonna deal with that. My chat's all messed up. I can't see you guys. Hold on, let me fix it. Well, I'll come hang out with you guys in a little bit. It's weird that Jimmy talked about Swarm Pants today. Because I was thinking about Swarm Pants yesterday a lot. And I think I mentioned it once last week. How fascinating it was. But here's what happened this weekend. This weekend, I had a friend come to church with me. I had an incredible weekend, by the way. On Saturday, I went to my friend's church for vigil, and there was a whole bunch of people there, including people who I've met through this show. And it was a great night, and then I was gifted, one of my friends gifted me a handmade icon, a giant heroine of Hades. It's absolutely beautiful. I would try and show it on here, but I know it wouldn't work because of the camera thing. But it was incredible. It's absolutely beautiful. And we had it blessed last night at our church. And then we went out and had Smash Burger, because Smash Burger now has like, they have vegan options for Lent, which means culturally, people in America are considering Orthodox Christians now. Companies are considering oh, it's Lent. Let's make sure we have some vegan options for the Orthodox Christians. That's new. That's new. And that's special, and that I like that. I'm not black-pilled at all. I can't help it. I'm just not. But I also am. Anyway, so last week a friend asked me to bring him to church. Now this was a young man, a native guy, who before I became Orthodox, I was kind of asked to mentor in some way. Because people at my old Baptist church kind of saw me as like, he's like a Christian, but he's like kind of like, I don't know. I can talk to the youth or something. So I would hang out with this kid and I would, try and help him with stuff and help him to understand the importance of Christianity. But then I was always wrestling with stuff as a Protestant anyway. And then I became Orthodox and I brought him along once or twice, but he didn't seem super into any of it anyway. He was just a young man and he wanted to do his thing. And, but out of the blue last week, this guy hit me up and said, can I come to church with you? I said, yeah, of course. And so I picked him up early and we went Sunday morning. I didn't ask him why. I didn't want to be like obnoxious, And we went to church and we had a great time. And then it was my friend's birthday, so we went out to eat. On the way to go out to eat, I asked him why he wanted to come to church, and he said, I love the music. He said he'd been playing in VR and somebody showed him an Orthodox chant. And I was like, bro, good enough for me. And hopefully I'll be able to bring him next week. But after we went out to eat with my other friend who just had a birthday, we went home and the three of us were just hanging out, playing with the dogs, and he was asking me what I was doing. He was asking me about my show. And so I started showing him stuff. And I thought to myself, oh, I should show him the Swarm Pants show. That'll really impress him. And I played it. And it was so dark. This thing, so dripping with cynicism. And while it had this beauty to it, and it had obviously like, it was very interesting, and it had the funny was a sort of desperation. The funny was a sort of the humor was bleak in it. I didn't even recognize that till I was watching it with my friend, who's 20 now. And again, he's a native guy, and he doesn't know a lot about what's going on in the world, He doesn't know about what's going on. Like most young people, he's just, doing his thing, and he'll pick up something here and there. He probably has leftist leanings, and it's just not something he really thinks about a lot. And in the show, there's this scene where this sort of hello listener avatar here, I think I might have him here. This guy starts talking, and he calls this black person that was beating up a white woman in the park. He says, that's not a human being, that's an animal. And I'm sitting here with this guy. I'm thinking to myself, wow, that came off really aggressive. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole thing. But I started to feel like depressed. I started to feel really depressed watching it. And he's reading all the comments and people are saying all sorts of crazy stuff. And he's like, you can tell he's bothered. But he's just like, what is he? He doesn't know what to, he's not like, he doesn't want to sit there and argue with me. I don't think he's explored what's going on in the world to the extent that my audience has. So a lot of what my audience says and what I say comes off as just like, what the heck? It comes off as a bunch of psychopaths. And that's true. I think when you know what's going on in the world, to people who don't, you seem really crazy. I've experienced that a lot. And I couldn't help but think, I hope that the things that I showed him today don't turn him away from orthodoxy. And God help me if they did. But we had a good time, and then I brought him home. And then we went to Vespers and had our icon blessed. And I just became so aware of how little work I'm doing on myself and how much work I'm doing pointing out at everyone else. And what this also goes back to what I was just talking on Jimmy's show about. Jimmy was kind of lamenting the fact that all these people who didn't put the work in are all of a sudden spewing all these talking points that we've been talking about for years. Now that it's safe. But to me, there's another side to that. And the other side to that is I don't have to talk about it anymore. I talked about it because it was a necessity. I talked about it because nobody knew. And I knew how crazy I sounded when I talked about it. When I first started doing my show, I knew how crazy I sounded. I was just like, it doesn't matter. It has to be said. But we don't live in those times anymore. Now everyone says it. And what they don't know is what to do about it. And orthodoxy is what you do about it. Because if this is happening to us in the way it's happening, and it is, it's happening through God's providence. It's allowed to happen on a people who have wholesale abandoned Christ, abandoned morality, and delved into endless degeneracy as a nation. And we could talk about how it's other people's fault, but it takes two to tango. There were multiple agreements that were made. There were generations upon generations of compromises that have led us to this point. The response is to refuse to compromise anymore. And that starts with the individual. That starts with each and every one of us. That starts with each and every one of us taking our Christian life very seriously. Going to as many services as we can. Following our prayer rule. Not just railing against people with bad theology, but railing against ourselves for the infinite amount of sins we commit every day. The downfall of society starts with the individual. And I think this also means that the reconstruction of a society begins with the individual. And if the individual is spending their life attacking everyone else and pointing out how bad everyone is, then all they're doing is creating another layer of bad. You're the judgment team. You're the reviler. And it's not going to help you. It's not going to help us. What's going to help us is when God looks down upon this country and he sees a country full of people dedicated to him, dedicated to defeating the passions, overcoming their sins, and giving their life to him, living the life of the church, rededicating themselves every day. When he sees that, when he sees a nation full of fish swimming against the current instead of dying and floating away with the current, then things will change. I don't have much of a plan for the show today. We'll see where it goes. There's some stuff I want to talk about. I've been obsessing with the Scofield Bible. I'm going to come hang out with you guys now. I don't know what is going on with this chat doc. Hold on, let me fix this. What the hellion? What the hellion Gonzalez is going on with this chat? It's tripping out for some reason. I don't know why my chat's tripping out so bad. Let's get the overlay operating correctly. This is upsetting that I can't get the chat working. Oh wait, I think I got it working. Nice. Okay. I'll be able to see you guys' chats momentarily. A little celebratory, Go ahead and chat. Let me see your chat. Let me see it. Let me see these chats. Here, I'll start. Let me see these. Sorry. Chats. What? No, it's still not working. All right, whatever. Whatever.
A joke Kansas super shattered $6. Bro, the whole reason I told JB to watch that video
was you?
because of the Scofield Bible part.
I didn't know that was you. Yeah, I felt like I was responsible for the direction the show turned, but I had to jump on because everybody was going crazy. I had to be like, dude, I'm not going to take this standing down. The thing about the Scofield Bible thing is I've known about that for a long time, but I think I actually haven't. Because the more I look into it, the more I realize how much of it is inferred. I spent the entire weekend obsessing with John Darby, who basically started dispensationalism. Oh, also, thank you. Here's your sound. And the Scofield Bible. And there's a bunch of intrigue and there's a lot of strange stuff going on there. But there's no smoking gun. That's the thing that really upset me. I spent the entire weekend going over this, and there's no smoking gun with the Scofield thing. There's no like, here's where Rothschild funded it. There's nothing like that. Unfortunately, I wish there was, but there isn't. If there is, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's not in public record. The thing that happened with Scofield was he was this disgraced lawyer, army deserter, who apparently faked credentials and said he was a decorated veteran when in fact he deserted. Thank you, Josiah.
At Josiah Lyron super chatted $10. Hi bro, letting you know that I am fasting from all YouTube and social media starting tomorrow through Pascha. I will continue supporting through Streamlabs and will see you when I return.
Here's your sound. Thank you. It's a good idea, probably. Most of you should probably just stop watching this and go focus on your spiritual life. Yo, Kansas, don't quit life, dude. Please don't quit life, yo, Kansas. Please. You're doing good. You're doing a good job, buddy. You can't, these things happen, man. You can't always determine where it's gonna go. But that's why I jumped on this, because it was like, dude, there's more to this, Jimmy. Don't just like dismiss it wholesale. And maybe I'll watch it for you. Maybe I'll watch it for you on my show, if it'll make you feel better. But I'm going to talk about it, so it's not really important that we watch it, because the Scofield thing is really interesting. So this is why Christian evangelism is evangelical Zionism is widespread in America, is because of the Scofield Bible. 100% because of the Scofield Bible. And the Scofield Bible is a very interesting thing. It was essentially a study Bible, where some guy wrote his interpretation, or an interpretation which he got from the Moody's, J.L. Moody or J.H. Moody and John Darby, and also from other sources, and started writing it alongside the scripture. Here's the scripture. Here's what it means. This wasn't a common thing. This is one of the first study Bibles ever. And the fact that he wrote his words alongside scripture gave them weight, like he was an authority on what scripture meant. And many people criticized him for it. But the Oxford Press pushed this thing heavily, and it became the Bible of the 20th century. And I mean it. I mean, it became the Bible of the 20th century and essentially shaped American politics in the evangelical right. Straight up. Straight up and down. And the crazy thing about it is each new edition, there was a 1907 version, 1907 or 1909 is when its first edition was released. There was also a 1917 version, and then there was a 1967 version. And each version of the Scofield Bible became more and more Zionist, mysteriously, to the point where the 1967 version of the Scofield Bible literally said something to the effect of anti-Semites will be punished by God. This means that if a nation is anti-Semitic, they will be punished by God. The word anti-Semite, the modern word, made up to protect Jews from criticism, that was in that Bible. And that was the study Bible. That was what most people were reading. It was in every household. It was a bestseller. This wasn't a small thing. This shaped American Zionism. And so you're looking for a smoking gun. You're looking for the Rothschild connection. And I can't find it. I can't find it. There is some weird stuff. Like I said, he deserted and then claimed to be a decorated veteran. He was a disgraced lawyer who was caught stealing funds from the state. He was a drunkard and left his family, his wife and children behind to fend for themselves. This is all true. This is all fact. And then all of a sudden, this, for all intents and purposes, scoundrel became a minister and an expert in the Bible. And then he joined something called the Lotos Club. The Lotos Club was a high society club in New York full of journalists, actors, bankers, lawyers. One of the people who was on the board who approved his entrance in to the Lotos Club was Untermeyer. What's his first name? His name was Samuel Untermeyer, a wealthy American lawyer and Zionist activist, Jewish. He approved Scofield's entrance into the Lotos Club. There were also other people in the Lotos Club. One person named something Moses. Let me try and find the exact name.
This
I can't find the name off the top, but there were other Zionist Jews in the Lotos Club, L-O-T-O-S. And one of them was some guy named Moses, but the guy who approved Scofield's entrance into the Lotos Club was Samuel Untermeyer, a rich lawyer and Zionist.
At Extanglia super chatted $10. Home is where the heart is.
You guys are so naive. Ignoring Slow Boy. So he rubbed shoulders with rich Zionists in the Lotos Club. And suddenly, shortly after this, he had money going from this poor man who abandoned his family and was a disgraced person. All of a sudden, he had money to go to England, and he had money to do all this stuff. He had money to travel Europe, and all of a sudden he was discovered by the Oxford Press, who pushed his book heavily throughout the world. And each subsequent issue became more and more Zionistic. So there's not like a obvious paper trail where it says this is where Rothschild funded it. And I wish there was. Slowboy thinks there is, and I'm all ears. I've spent the whole weekend looking through this stuff. I'm ordering a book about it as well. But there doesn't seem to be something that says for sure this is where it's this is where Rothschild signed something that said it. Of course, it all lines up perfectly. Surely something happened. But as far as the paper trail goes, we don't have an exact paper trail. Here's what happened, though. Shortly after the first Scofield Bible was printed, and it was printed in mass, the Balfour Declaration was signed. And the Balfour Declaration promised Palestine to world Jewry. And was penned by a Rothschild. There are too many pieces for it to be a coincidence, for sure. But if there's some documentary evidence that shows this is exactly how it happened, I haven't seen it. It seems to have been all behind the scenes. They are smart enough to put a shell person in front of them to fund the things they don't want to be directly implicated with. I feel like you guys are thinking that I'm saying that it wasn't a conspiracy. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we don't have a smoking gun. But obviously it lines up. Entrance into the Lotos Club, full of journalists, actors, and lawyers, and Zionists. And then all of a sudden he shoots off into mega stardom. Tony, do you know how yo, you know what? I'm actually not really enjoying this.
See me, they won't. Next time that you see me, don't. Next time that they see me, they won't. They won't.
Look, yo, this is I feel like I'm talking past you, slow boy. And it's ridiculous. It's like I'm talking about what's directly in front of us, what we do have. I understand what happened behind the scenes, but we don't have access to what happened behind the scenes. So when I actually don't even understand why you guys think you're educating me right now, because you're not. You're not educating me on any of this. I'm talking about what we have and what we don't. And you're saying, and you're getting upset because what? Because I'm not saying that we have things that we don't have? I spent the entire weekend looking into this, reading articles. Jay Dyer sent me an article. I read through it. It's not just I guess here's where my thing is. Certain times for me, I'm using this specifically to help people get out of the sin of Zionism. Yeah, it's like all anybody wants, exactly, boss. All anybody wants is to be in their little corner of the internet angry and getting mad when all of a sudden this information isn't obvious to everyone. I want this information obvious to everyone. And so I make sure that when I talk about certain things, if I don't have a paper trail to prove what I'm saying, I'm careful. That's all. We understand that Scofield Bible was funded by Zionists. We understand that. We don't have a smoking gun. And so if you're talking to a normie about this thing and you say the Scofield Bible was funded by the Rothschilds, you don't actually, all it takes is them doing a few minutes of research and they can come back and say, now I know you're a liar, which is exactly what we're worried about with people like JP, Candace, Ian Carroll, is you say some stuff and all of a sudden there's one thing that's unprovable and then they can wholesale dismiss everything else you say. Do you understand how convenient that is? Do you understand how you work against yourself when you don't dot your I's and cross your T's? This is so ridiculous. If you prefer to stay in your own little quarantined off area of the internet where you already know everything and everyone else is stupid for not knowing what you know, then go ahead. But I'm trying to affect change in whatever way I can. And that means reaching people where they're at. So I don't hate people who do this without knowing everything I know. I think about ways to talk to them. I think about ways to reach them. I don't just think, oh, you're stupid and I'm smart. You're bad and I'm good. Because that's worthless and it helps nobody. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. I want nothing with it. I want nothing to do with it. I'm not here to sit in the corner and spite everyone. Go off if that's you. Go off. It ain't me. I'm not having an existential crisis. How do you not understand what I'm talking about here? I don't understand you people, yo. I don't understand you people.